If you're here, you're probably feeling excited, curious, and maybe just a little terrified about birth. And you're not alone. Most first-time moms are trying to learn everything they can from TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, but it's overwhelming and often conflicting. This class will help you cut through the noise, give you real information, and help you feel more in control. So, hello, my love bugs. My name is Ashley. I'm a certified doula, childbirth educator, and a proud mama. I love all things pregnancy, birth, and parenthood. I've experienced all kinds of births, from C-sections, unmedicated and medicated vaginal births, inductions, home births, hospital births, and all of the whirlwind emotions involved in this entire process. I have locked eyes with mothers as they've pushed their babies into this world. I have been the first face babies have seen. I have called time of life, okay? And I have never felt more connected or protective of a woman than when I stand by her side as she becomes a mother. I do not mean to be a total cliche when I say this, but pregnancy and birth is an absolute miracle. I know it's hard to think about that when you're nauseous and have heartburn and you're swollen and you have insomnia and you can barely walk through the grocery store. Might be projecting a little bit on that last one. But I swear to you, the process is the most mind-blowing thing the body does. And I want to help you understand it and cope with it and prepare for it. As a society, we are undereducated and underprepared for pregnancy and birth, despite the fact that it's how we all got here. And it's just not right. There is so much that you don't know that you should. And your doctors and nurses, unfortunately, they don't have time to teach you or fully prepare you, but I do. This is the moment that I help you shine. With me, you'll be prepared and confident. You'll be ready. You will be empowered to step into your strength, regardless of the kind of birth you want to have. I am here to guide you and make sure you feel confident and informed about the journey ahead. I have seen women just like you bring life into this world. They were afraid and overwhelmed and sometimes completely alone, but I believed in them just like I believe in you. And every single birthing experience I've had, whether it was one of my mama's births or my own, I have been humbled and I've learned so much that I just had to come back to teach you. So buckle up, get out your pen and paper, and let's dive in. All right, let's get started with discussing what birth actually is, okay? There's a lot of information out there, but we really want to go through what the basic process of labor is. We want to talk about what contractions actually do, aside from like making you incredibly uncomfortable. And we want to talk about what it looks like to actually go through labor in real time. So first of all, what is labor? Okay, let's get into the process of that. So for one, labor is effacing and dilating the cervix. That's number one. Okay, so that's opening the gate for your baby. All right, so what does that mean? So you have your uterus, right? This beautiful home for your baby, and at the bottom is this little tiny tube almost, and it's gonna be long and it's gonna be tightly closed. So that's your cervix, and part of the process of labor is making sure that that is effacing, which means thinning out, and dilating, which means opening up. And then we have rotating and descending the baby into the birth canal. So that is making sure your baby's not just gonna pop right out. They're going to need to navigate their way through the birth canal, and that's going to require a lot of twisting and a lot of turning. And then we have the expelling of the baby from your uterus, and that's going to be through the vagina unless you are having a C-section and if that's medically necessary. And then we have the delivery of the placenta, which is the organ that you basically built in your body throughout pregnancy that supported your baby's health and development throughout your pregnancy, okay? There are a series of stages that unfold over hours or sometimes even days during labor. Every labor is unique. So let's talk about the signs of labor, how to know if it's near. Don't worry, we're going to get into the details of that cervix dilating and your uterus and all of that. Right now we're just in an overview. Labor doesn't usually start out of nowhere. There are definitely signs that your body is getting ready to birth this baby. And it really can happen in the days or even weeks before. There are women who start dilating like 3 weeks before they have their baby. But let's talk about what some of those signs are. For one, loss of a mucus plug. It's going to be this thick mucusy like clump that you will likely find in your underwear when you go to the restroom. That can be an early sign. Some people don't lose their plug until way down the line, but it can be a sign in the days or weeks before that labor is near. Increased vaginal discharge, bloody show. So that's going to be like a blood tinged mucus, maybe in your underwear or when you go to wipe. Cramps or back pain, the urge to nest or like emotional shifts. So that feeling of like, oh my God, I need to make sure that this is washed. I need to make sure that the crib is built. I gotta like hurry up and get this done. Loose stools. So when you go to the bathroom, it'll start to loosen up a bit because your body's trying to like clear everything out so that the main focus is having that baby. And then of course, contractions that become more regular and intense. So let's talk about true labor versus false labor. We do dive deeper into identifying the differences in my Prep Push Parent course, but right now we're going to just do kind of an overview. All right. There's something called Braxton Hicks. You feel those. They're almost like practice contractions for you. You're going to feel them a lot. Maybe it depends on the person, but you'll feel them before actual labor. So if you're 30 weeks pregnant and you're feeling Braxton Hicks, don't worry. It's usually just that. It's probably not, the actual thing. Your uterus likes to practice. It likes to get warmed up, so to speak. And a lot of times you can kind of rule out if it's Braxton Hicks if you drink a glass of water, like a couple of glasses of water, lay down, rest, kick your feet up, literally. Wait about an hour. If the contractions go away, more than likely it's Braxton Hicks. You don't have to worry. But if they're not going away, call your provider and let them know what's going on, okay? Now let's talk about the stages of labor really quickly. So for one, there's early labor. Your cervix is going to dilate between 0 and 6 centimeters, okay? That's early labor. Where we're trying to get to is 10 centimeters, okay? So your cervix is going to dilate from 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This could take hours, even days. A lot of women, especially first-time moms, it'll usually take several hours. And contractions may be 5 to 20 minutes apart, and they may be mild to moderate. This is normal, and they can be erratic. So maybe they're 5 minutes apart now, and maybe they're 16 minutes. You don't get another one for like another 16 minutes, and then you don't get another one for another 8 minutes, and then it's 20 minutes, and then it's 13. So it'll fluctuate, and sometimes it'll be steady. Again, every birth is unique, okay? So we're still in early labor here. So it's going to last several hours to a day or more. That's just the reality, especially for first-time moms. I think it's like 24 to 48 hours is the expected average for a first-time mom to be in labor. It typically is faster the more children you have, but that first time, most women, it's going to be about 24 to 48 hours of labor. During early labor, this is a good time to eat, to rest, to shower, and to prepare your space, okay? This is a good time to spend time with your significant other and really get comfortable with one another. And then we have active labor. Active labor is when your cervix has hit 6 centimeters. If you haven't hit 6 centimeters, baby, the party has barely even started, okay? 6 to 8 centimeters is active labor. These contractions are going to be stronger, longer, and closer together, and they're going to be much more intense. It often requires more focus and support, and this is when many people choose to go to their birthplace. And during this time, your contractions are likely going to be anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes apart. When you are feeling like, I like to follow the 3-1-1 rule in most cases. So your contractions are going on they're 3 minutes apart. They're lasting about a minute, and that's going on for about an hour. That is truly active labor. That is a good time a kind of good rule of thumb to go to your birthplace, but also like trust your gut. You don't want to go too early because they could send you home. It could also stall your labor. We'll get into that. And then the next stage of labor is transition. So this is going to happen between 8 and 10 centimeters of your cervix being dilated. These contractions are intense, often with very little breaks in between. We're talking about, they're probably lasting like 90 seconds. They're 2 minutes apart. You may feel overwhelmed. It's very common to doubt yourself during this time because it's such an intense part of labor. And then at this time, your baby is descending and preparing for pushing. So please understand this pain is not for nothing. You are really working that baby down. That baby's on that cervix and is ready to come through. And that's why it feels so intense. And then your next stage of labor is going to be pushing. This is your cervix is fully dilated at 10 centimeters. You might feel the urge to bear down, and pushing can be coached or spontaneous depending on your setting. And this is what births your baby. So this is the end of the birth process for your baby. This portion is really important. When your cervix is fully dilated, this is a good time to rest because you need to have your energy for pushing, and you might not feel the urge to push right away. It's okay to take a breath. And it's also important that if you do feel the urge to push, you let your provider know, because there's something called a cervical lip. So that's when the cervix is still kind of in place, and it's just a little bit, but it's enough to where if you push, it could inflame and it could really send you giving birth completely left, because then it'll swell up and you could end up having to have a C-section. So you want to let your provider know, hey, I'm feeling pushy. I'm feeling this urge to push, because they're going to go in there and check to make sure your cervix is really out of the way before you push, because you want that out of the way, and then they'll give you the go ahead once it's moved, or they might kind of press on it a little bit to get it out of the way for you, which is going to be uncomfortable, just as a FYI, but it'll kind of get that last little bit out of the way. Or they might say, okay, let's wait a little bit, let's try to get through this. And then there's going to be the delivery of your placenta. Your contractions are going to continue to help release the placenta, but they are usually a bit milder, and this usually occurs within 5 to 30 minutes after your baby is born. Your provider is going to ensure that your uterus is firm and that your bleeding is under control, and that's going to be very, very important to make sure that your bleeding isn't too much, because when that placenta gets detached, that's basically an open wound in your uterus. Don't worry, the body knows this, it's prepared for this, and it's going to heal on its own. But your doctor is going to really make sure, or your midwife is going to make sure that everything is intact and that everything is going smoothly. Now, in order to go through this process, we really want to make sure that baby's in the right position. So we have to do something called the cardinal movements. Well, we don't, the baby does. So for the baby to go through the process of labor, they have to navigate through the birth canal, which can be pretty tricky. It's not a straight shot. So this requires the cardinal movements of labor, right? The cardinal movements are the specific positional changes a baby's head makes as it descends through the birth canal during childbirth, right? These movements are essential for the baby to navigate the pelvis and facilitate a vaginal delivery. We discuss this more in detail and how to effectively achieve that in my Prep Push Parent course, but these are crucial movements that your baby needs to make in order to make it through the birth canal. Let's talk about contractions, what they are and why they matter, right? So contractions are waves of tightening and releasing of the uterine muscles. This is the whole purpose of your uterus during, not the whole purpose, but during labor. The contraction of these uterine muscles is what's getting that baby out of there, right? So think of them like a combination of a bear hug and a wave crashing, intense, powerful, purposeful. This is what your contractions are going to help you do. Each contraction helps push the baby's head downward against the cervix, okay? So that's what's going to, your baby's going to be like pushing down to like open that cervix up and help it thin out. It's going to pull, the contractions are going to come from the top and push, and that pressure is going to get onto that cervix to open it up and thin it out. And your contractions are coming up like this to make room for that baby to come out, right? So it's going to thin and open the cervix, position the baby optimally for birth. So those contractions are like really twisting and pushing, and so is baby. Baby is smarter than you think. And eventually the contractions are going to guide the baby down through the birth canal. So your body and your baby are working together through this whole process. In early labor, contractions are usually mild and spaced far apart, like your uterus is basically warming up. In active labor, they become longer, stronger, and closer together. Your uterus is in full work mode, right? In transition, contractions may feel overwhelming or back-to-back. Cervix is finishing its dilation and your body is nearly ready to push. In pushing, contractions shift. They might be slightly less painful and more productive, working with your urge to bear down. In transition, contractions may feel overwhelming or back-to-back. Your cervix is finishing its dilation and your body is nearly ready to push. In pushing, contractions shift. They might feel slightly less painful and more productive, working with your urge to bear down. I promise you, contractions are very, very intense. But once you are pushing, your focus kind of shifts because you're trying to figure out how to get this baby out of you. It takes practice getting a baby out. Your pushing is not going to be instinctive for everybody, and that's okay. You will get the hang of it, and your provider will likely kind of help guide you into ways to help you get through it, even if you have an epidural, right? We dive a lot deeper into the process of all these stages of labor in my Prep Push Parent course, but I want you to have an overview understanding of like shifts. There are stages of it that you need to be prepared for and be able to work through. So knowing how that dilation works. So again, active labor, that's going to be between 0 and 6 centimeters. While as you work your way up to 6 centimeters, that is going to be early labor. And that's going to be your body doing a lot of the heavy lifting to really warm itself up. And then active labor, that is going to be your body working, your cervix opening from 6 centimeters to 8 centimeters. That's a very important time. That's where crucial moments are happening. That's where baby is getting a lot of those cardinal movements in. And then when we get from 8 to 10 centimeters, that is transition. That is going to be the toughest time, but it is going to also be the shortest time. So that can last about 30 minutes to a couple of hours, but it's a lot shorter than the rest of labor. And it typically happens very quickly. That portion, your cervix is dilating fast. And it is a time where you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can get through this, but I promise you, I swear to you, you definitely can. Okay. And then we have pushing, like we just discussed. And then you're going to push that placenta out, which is much easier than pushing out your baby. Some people don't even notice it because you have your baby in your arms. So you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. We dive deeper into the details of that and how to kind of cope with those things and what that process looks like in fine detail in my Prep Push Parent course. But this is a good foundation as you go into labor. So let's talk about the mind. My philosophy is birth happens in the mind, and your body's going to do what it's going to do. It knows how to do this. You could be in a coma and that baby is going to get pushed out by your body for the most part, like theoretically. But your mind is a huge participant in this process. And we want the mind to be just as prepared as the body. And it's important for you to be in tune, right? So birth is a team effort between brain and body, okay? It's not just something that you have to survive, and you need to have a handle on what's going on up here, right? So a big part of that is controlling your fear. A lot of women feel very afraid. They don't know what's going to happen. They're afraid of the pain. They're afraid of the doctors. They're afraid of the medications. They're afraid of the entire process, and they don't know what to expect entirely. And we want to get a control over that fear, okay? It's fine to be afraid. It's about what you do with that fear, okay? And I want to talk to you about how fear translates to birth. So picture it this way. A laboring person walks into a hospital where they feel uneasy. The lights are bright. They see a lot of unfamiliar faces, and a sense of being observed can trigger anxiety. Their contractions, which were strong and regular at home, suddenly slow down. This is the fear, tension, pain cycle in action. So fear creates tension. Tension leads to pain, and pain increases fear, creating a cycle that can disrupt the laboring process. Conversely, imagine a laboring person, yourself, in a dimly lit space, surrounded by people that you trust, and the ability to move freely, listen to soothing music, and hear words of encouragement. The body responds positively, labor progresses smoothly, and contractions remain strong and effective. And though contractions are a pain in your behind, literally for some people, you want them to be strong. You want them to be effective. You can have contractions that are not doing anything, and that's in part because of your fear, your mindset, your body, the environment. It's a lot. So you really want to make sure that you have that fear under control. And we do dive more into that in my more detailed course, but it's important. I cannot stress this enough that you get your fear and your mindset around birth under control. Don't take in as much negative stuff. It's important to research, and it's okay to look into things and watch positive births and get that advice, but be careful what you create in your mind. Be careful what voices you let stick, and focus on understanding how fear plays that role and how to keep it at bay. It's okay to be afraid, but we don't want fear to be controlling how we think about birth and how we go into it, okay? You can do this. You're strong. You're powerful. Do not let fear run your mind. Do not. Let's move on to the next portion. And this is going to be the 3 things that make the biggest difference in your labor. So let's talk about the 3 things that make the biggest difference in your labor, right? This is so crucial because we focus on a lot of the wrong things. Now, there are so many things to be excited about pregnancy and labor. Packing that hospital bag, baby. It's a hoot, okay? It's so much fun. And preparing the nursery, all those things are very exciting. Shopping for cute little clothes, all of that. These are great great things, but these are the three biggest differences. Like these three things that I'm going to talk about right now are going to make the biggest difference for you in your birthing process. Number one, it's going to be your birth environment. Light, sound, who's there, how supported you feel. Those are incredibly important. You want to feel as calm and relaxed as possible. Bright lights, which they have 50,000 lights in a hospital room, okay? You can control that. You can have them dim that. You can bring your own lighting. You can plug in to get you some mood lighting, whatever feels calm for you. Sound. What sounds do you want to hear? Do you want to just hear the beeping of your monitor going just beep, beep, beep in dead silence? Do you want to hear the chatter of a bunch of people who probably shouldn't be in the space with you and like hearing negative thoughts and all of that? What do you want it to feel like? I want you to think about this. This is a intense moment in your life. This is transformative. How do you want to experience that? Do you want to be stressed or do you want to be relaxed? Do you want to be calm? Do you want to feel good? So think about what that sounds like. What does that look like? What does that feel like? What do you hear? What is your breath like? Who are the people in that room with you who make you feel good, who make you feel strong, who make you feel like you can do this? Those are very, very important factors, okay? Because like I said, labor can stall based off of your environment. It can. You feel tensed up, and that's the body responding to keep you and your baby safe. If you feel tense and afraid and you're stressed, your body is recognizing that and it's saying to your brain, hey, we're in danger. Okay, we're in danger. We cannot bring a baby in here. And so let's slow down these contractions. Let's take our time here because we can't have a baby in this environment. We're in danger. Something's not safe. We cannot let this baby out. You don't want that. You want your body to feel very open and very relaxed so that it can bring your baby out. Those are very, very important things. But to think about this, again, a laboring person walks into a hospital where they feel uneasy. Bright lights, unfamiliar faces, feeling observed, anxiety triggered. Contractions were strong and regular. Now they're suddenly slow. Again, this is our fear, tension, pain cycle in action, all right? That's why you have to set the tone for how you want. I don't care where you give birth at, okay? It can be at home, it can be in the hospital, it can be at a birthing center. Wherever you're giving birth, you set the tone, you set the vibe. Pack them lights, pack your affirmations, pack your speaker, have that playlist ready. Play the music that makes you feel good, that makes you feel empowered, that makes you feel calm, that makes you feel good. This is your space. You are in control, nobody else. So I want you to really take the time to think about what your environment looks like. So many people give birth, and because they have too many negative voices in the space, they have too much going on. They can't relax. They're overstimulated. They can't think straight, and your brain waves are already slow because you're giving birth. And then you add in chaos. Oh no, honey, not at all. And then you want to think about, where are you giving birth? Like physically, is it a hospital? Is it a birth center? Is it at home? If it's going to be at a hospital, if it's going to be at a birth center, see if you can get a tour. Call them and say, hey, can I just get a look around? A lot of people will make that accommodation. So know what to expect. What does the room look like? How is it set up? What are the protocols? What is the visitor policy? What are the amenities? You can ask that. Ask your provider. If they have a specific hospital that they do the births at, you say, hey, can you tell me a little bit about what the policies are? What are we allowed to do? You can call the hospital. You can call the birthing center. You can ask these things. Take control. Be an active participant in your pregnancy and in your labor, okay? And in your recovery. We'll get to that though. You want to make sure you're creating a calming space, so you want to know what the policies are in those spaces, and you can be as cozy as you like, all right? And then you want to have a backup plan, all right? Think through alternate scenarios like inductions and C-sections, or having to be transferred to a hospital if you're giving birth at home or in a birthing center. These are things you want to be thinking about and preparing, okay? Wherever you give birth, your comfort, safety, and ability to labor freely are all influenced by your environment. Okay. The main setting for your birth might be a hospital, birth center, or your home. Whatever it is, each setting has pros and cons, and it's important to explore them thoroughly and what they typically offer. Preparing for birth is about more than packing a hospital bag or writing a birth plan. All right. It's a holistic, ongoing process of getting your mind, body, relationships, and environment ready for one of the most powerful events of your life. The more you prepare, the more confident and calm you will feel. Even if birth doesn't go exactly as planned, think of preparation not as like rigid control, but as laying a foundation for flexibility, strength, and informed decision making. All right, sweetheart, you got this. All right, let's talk about your mental preparation. Labor is not only physical, it's deeply mental and emotional. I'm going to keep hammering that in. It's very, very important. Fear, anxiety, or unresolved feelings can impact your experience. Mental Preparation is key in this situation. That includes birth education. So learn about the stages of labor, like we just went over, common interventions, and coping methods. Knowing what to expect can ease fear and boost confidence. All right, doing that work in the mind, very important. You want to practice affirmations, meditation, visualization. Visualize what it looks like for you to give birth. Visualize how you feel and what you're doing and how you're processing, how you're breathing, what your body looks like. You want to be in tune, all right? Develop a belief in your body's ability and remind yourself that birth is a normal physiological process, okay? This is not an emergency. This is your body doing its thing, okay? This is normal. You might not do this every day, but it is normal, okay? And you want to release control, okay? Prepare to surrender to the unknown. Most births do not go as planned, and that's okay. What's important, if you're prepared, you'll be able to roll with the punches. Birth is not something that you can script. It's just not. But you can be mentally agile and emotionally supported through its twists and turns, okay? Then there's the physical preparation. Your body is designed to give birth. That's a fact. But supporting it with movement and care can make the process more efficient and comfortable. You're going to have to get up and get out of that bed. You're going to have to move around. Prenatal movement, before you even give birth, before we're even talking about that, you want to be walking, swimming, stretching, or doing some sort of prenatal yoga to keep your pelvis open and your baby well positioned. You can be doing these things and they don't have to be overly intense. Do a little bit every day. And if you're struggling to find any prenatal classes for like yoga in your area, there are tons online, all right? And then pelvic floor awareness. You want to learn both how to engage and relax your pelvic floor. The pelvic floor is very, very important, and knowing when to engage it and when to relax it is really, really important. So you really want to look into that. Too much tension can make pushing much harder. So think about that. Again, nutrition and hydration. Fueling your body with whole foods and plenty of fluids supports stamina and tissue integrity. You want to do that in pregnancy, but you also want to do that in labor. You want to make sure you're hydrating your body really, really well and that you're eating things that are very low maintenance and are giving your body fuel. And then body positioning. Spend time in forward-leaning positions. Sit on a birth ball. You can use spinning baby techniques to help baby find the optimal position for birth. These are things you can be doing in pregnancy, and then it'll be easier to do them in labor. And then you want to talk through fears with your partner, your doula, which I recommend you getting a doula, a therapist. I recommend a prenatal therapist and a postpartum therapist, and your provider, whether that's a doctor, a midwife, or whomever. Then there's emotional preparation, right? You want to talk through your fears, your concerns, any questions you have with your partner, your doula, which I recommend getting a doula, a therapist. I recommend a prenatal therapist and especially a postpartum therapist, and your provider, whether it's your doctor or your midwife. You need to discuss these things. Do not keep it all bottled up. Journal, talk it out. Let people know what you're thinking, what you're going through, whatever questions you have. This is not the time to be shy, okay? It's not the time to be meek. If you're about to be a mother, okay, you have got to speak your mind, say your piece, ask those questions, and tell people what you're thinking and what you're feeling, because that's the best way that they're going to help you. And then you need to process some of that past trauma or previous birth experiences if needed. Again, a counselor, you can talk to your provider about these things. And if your provider's not willing to listen to you or give you a referral or something like that, find another provider. Acknowledge your feelings about labor, parenthood, and identity shifts. These feelings are valid and normal. You are not a terrible mother. You need to be honest with yourself about how you feel, because if you're not, then you can't do anything about it, all right? This is very, very important because your wellness is crucial here. It's very easy for people to get lost in the sauce. And I don't want that for you. Next up, surround yourself with support. Don't underestimate the power of encouragement, presence, and being truly seen during birth. There will be people who show up for you and you didn't even know you needed. You might have a nurse that is just like, she's just kind. She's just kind. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't even know how badly I needed that. You know, pick people who are going to support you, who are going to advocate for you, who are going to love on you. This is not the time to people please. If any other time to be selfish is now, when you are having to care for yourself and this baby and your birth. Pick people who deserve to be in that space with you, okay? Partner and support team prep. This is so important. This is critical, okay? Discuss your birth plan and preferences openly with your partner or whoever your support people are. They need to know what it is that you want at any given moment. They need to know what you're thinking, what your desires are, so they can support you in doing that. You cannot carry this load by yourself. Your brain waves slow all the way down when you're in labor. They slow down. They can only process what's happening right here in this little bubble right here, okay? You need people in your corner who know what you want, and you need to talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. So everybody is on the same page, and you need to let your provider know this is not a legally binding situation. Things will go left, but you need to know, like, this is what I want to do. And if this doesn't work out, this is what I want to do next. This is how I want to pivot, so that everybody's on the same page. All right. Also, you're doing the right thing by taking this class. My Prep Push Parent course is much more detailed. We really get into the nitty gritty so that you can learn those fine details, because there's a lot more to birth than this, but this is what I'm able to like squeeze in for free to get out to as many people as possible so that they know the basics. I want you to have the basics, and this will help, but digging deeper into something a little bit more comprehensive will give you an even fuller picture. That's what I want for you. You need to learn techniques like counter pressure, hip squeezes, and emotional coaching. So you need to know like things that you can be doing physically that will help open you up to make it easier for your baby to push through, to help those contractions really do the work they need to do. These are all super important things. You need to set expectations for how your support person can help. When I'm in labor, I'll need to like tell them what to say. They're not going to know. They're not mind readers. They're not psychics. This isn't intuitive for everybody. It's not even going to necessarily be intuitive for you. So you need to say like, this is what my expectations are. This is what I need. This is how I respond when I need to cope. This is how I respond when I'm in stressful situations or difficult or challenging situations. Also, pack together, plan your transportation, and know the signs of labor and when to go to the birth location. Like, that's something that both of you should be in lockstep on, or whoever your person is. And then environment preparation, we've talked about this over and over. Know what to expect and plan for that, okay? This is very, very, very important. I cannot express any deeper like how crucial your environment is, your space is, because your body is picking up on every little thing, even if you're not thinking of it consciously. And then you want to work on practical tasks, packing your bag. That should be done by 36 to 37 weeks. That's going to be your bag, your partner's bag, your baby's bag, your postpartum bag. Some of these things can be consolidated. So be smart about that, because you don't want to be lugging a bunch of stuff while you're trying to get to your birth location. So pack smart and try not to do too many bags. Like, it can have these pieces in mind, but also pack smart. You want to install that car seat and get it checked at the hospital. They do not let you take your baby home if you don't have a car seat. So you want to check it, make sure that it's working, it's set up properly, all of that. You want to set up your postpartum recovery space at home before labor. So that should be a part of your preparation before you even get close to birth, or as you get close to birth. You want to think about pads, underwear, snacks, water, cozy spots for nursing or feeding, everything you're going to need so that it's in arm's reach, okay? Get you a cart, put all your stuff on it. You want to freeze meals. You want to stock up on pantry staples. You want to prep laundry and baby items. Things to consider when you are choosing your birthplace, by the way, is risk level. Are you considered high risk? Do you have a history of complications? How far is it from the hospital or the birth center, from your home? If you're planning a home birth, how far is the nearest hospital? Your support team compatibility. Does your provider have privileges at your chosen location? Like, is this the right provider for you? Is this the right doula for you? Is this the right therapist for you? Is this the right man for you? Your comfort and values, you want to be thinking about that. Do you want the full range of medical options available, or do you want a hands-off natural approach? Your flexibility. Will the birth setting respect your preferences? Will it support your birth plan? Like, get on it. Think about these things. And again, your mindset, what's happening? Less fear is going to be better outcomes, okay? The process of birth is all about opening up. When fear is present, it tenses the body, closing it off for protection. Bring a baby into the mix. The body's fear response kicks it up a notch to keep this baby from coming out, to protect it from the danger you're sensing on the outside, okay? You gotta get that fear under control. Again, we talk about this on a much deeper level in my Prep Push Parent course, because that we go over everything. We, from prenatal all the way to you're caring for a newborn. Like I said, you wanna identify your fears. What are you most afraid of in birth? Is it pain? Is it loss of control? Is it a specific intervention? Identifying the fears allows you to address them. You want to educate yourself. So what we're doing right here, right now, knowledge is a powerful antidote to fear, okay? Understanding what's actually happening in your body and what to expect can help you feel more confident. Practicing relaxation techniques, so breathing deeply, meditation, visualization, as I said before, and movement can help counteract fear. I know it might sound very woo-woo, but baby, it works. It just does. I mean, we can talk a bit more in depth about that in my Prep Push Parent course. And again, you want to surround yourself with with the right support. Having a trusted birth team who believes in you reduces a lot of fear, and it really builds up your confidence. And you want to use affirmations and positive language. Replace fearful thoughts with affirmations like, I trust my body. Each contraction brings me closer to my baby. I was made for this. You might not believe it now, but you say it enough times and you will begin to believe it. Just like you say a lot of negative things and you begin to believe them, positive works just the same. And that's what you should focus your energy on. Your support team, that's you, your partner, your doula, your provider, whoever is involved, everybody needs to be in alignment, okay? They need to be in alignment with you and what you need. Most first-time moms, they don't prepare their support team, but you are going to. You're going to prepare them. You're going to make sure that they're ready. They're not going to instinctively know what to do. So you're going to have to give them guidance, all right? And you need to encourage them to educate themselves on labor support techniques. Tell that partner of yours, hey, you got to get it together. You got to start working towards it, okay? You got to know what's going on because your support to me is crucial. All right. In my full course, we do go deeper into how to plan for these things. We do have like a support guide for partners, and we encourage you to watch. We encourage partners to watch the entire thing, but there's also a section specifically dedicated to partners. All right. So these are the things that are going to make the biggest difference in your labor. Okay. This is your birth, your labor. These three things, you need to have them under your belt going into labor, and you will more than likely exceed your own expectations. All right. Now, I do have a bonus for you. So we're going to jump into that. But before we do, I want to talk to you about how you are preparing for your labor, because I want to make sure that you're not just preparing for the labor piece. I want you to be prepared for all of it. So your prenatal visits all the way through caring for your newborn and caring for yourself in postpartum. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. All right. I'm very excited to share this bonus with you. I believe that in order for you to actually be prepared, it's not just about the labor. It's not just about the birth, because now you got to raise a baby and you got to take care of yourself. You got to recover. So we're going to talk about what you should expect right after you give birth. But before we get into that, I want to talk to you a little bit more in depth about preparing for your labor, preparing for your birth, getting your partner prepared, preparing for your recovery, and what to expect in postpartum, and taking care of this gorgeous, amazing new life that you get to experience. I want to make sure that you feel confident. I want you to have clarity about what you're going into, and I want you to have peace of mind. I know the challenges from the outside and from the inside. You know, I watch so many mamas go through this, and it's beautiful and intense and it's hard. And it's also something that you can do. I've gone through it myself, and I'm very proud of myself because I used a lot of this information to empower myself. My birth was not easy, and I think it would have been a lot harder on me if I didn't have the information that I have, if I didn't have the wherewithal, if I hadn't prepared my partner, if, you know, he and I hadn't discussed this a million times, had I not asked a million questions, and had I not gotten on a bunch of doctors' nerves, like, it would have been much harder. And I'm very proud of myself, and I look forward to doing it again and again. But it's because I know what I'm capable of, and I empowered myself, and I made sure that I was informed. And I want the same thing for you. If you are watching this class and it's helped calm you down in any way, if it's made you feel reassured in any way, first of all, thank you for even taking the time to watch this, but I'm glad. That's what I want for you. And I want you to imagine, you know, how you will feel when you know exactly what to expect, not just for labor, but for recovery, for breastfeeding, newborn care, and so much more, and how much relief you will feel that your partner's prepared. You know, I created my Prep Push Parent, the ultimate birth course, to be everything that I believe every woman should know, everything you have the right to know, not just before giving birth, but before you even become pregnant. It's relatable, it's real, it's evidence-based, and designed to walk you through birth without the judgment or the fluff or the fear. You know, I'm not super crunchy and woo-woo, and I'm not super like clinical. I think there's a balance. You need both. You need the woo-woo of it all. You need the spiritual connection. You need to understand that this is deeper. And then in some instances, the clinical part is important because it can be life-saving. So I like to have a balanced approach because you never know how things are going to go. And I don't want to make you any false promises. I want to give you real practical help. And I want you to feel good about yourself. I want you to feel confident. I want you to feel assured that you are capable of this. I really believe that because I've watched it. I've witnessed it with my own eyes. I've watched myself go through it. It's the most beautiful thing, and I want you to be prepared and I want you to feel good about it. So in my course, you'll get clear, in-depth video lessons covering labor, birth, postpartum, breastfeeding, newborn care, partner support, and so much more. Like, we get into the nitty-gritty. You're gonna know how to deal with pain, whether it's natural or it's medicated. We go through all different types of births, birthing places. Like, we get into it. There are going to be downloadable tools like birth plan and postpartum plan templates that you can download that come with the course. You will have a community that you can talk to. You can ask me questions at any time. There's going to be a crash course for your partner, a newborn care guide. We make sure you are prepared. There is not going to be a course more detailed or comprehensive than this one. That's also going to offer you a community, so you can talk about everything you're going through with all the other mamas in this community, along with me, about whatever you're experiencing in whatever stage you are in motherhood. This course is easily worth $2,997 easily, but you can get the full course and all the bonus tools and a community today for $597. Okay, that's $2,400 off. Okay, for a limited time, and you will have lifetime access to this course once you buy it. Okay, and we offer pay later options, so we can be flexible with whatever your financial needs are. But you got to get this course. It's going to make sure that you have everything you need. If you're ready to stop Googling and getting on TikTok and YouTube and on Reddit in the middle of the night, because I know you are, I know you worry, I know you're stressed, and you want to feel ready, this is the next step. So you make sure you click on the button that allows you to jump right in and enroll in my course today. You will not regret it. I cannot wait to see you in the community, mama. You are going to do an amazing job, and I cannot wait to love on you and cheer you on. All right, now let's get into this bonus. All right, so most free birth courses, they stop at delivery. Like, they're going to tell you exactly what to do for delivery, and then that's it. But I want to kind of get into what happens next, and I want you to be blindsided. I think this is important. So we're going to go over a few things. So we're going to talk about skin to skin. We're going to talk about the golden hour, which is it's the best. It's one of my favorite things. So let's talk first about skin to skin contact. When your baby is born, you want that baby to get on your skin as quickly as possible. Sometimes you have a C-section, so it's going to be a little wait, maybe 30 minutes or so before you get to put that baby on your chest. But when that baby comes out, right on your chest is what you want. This is very important, okay? Skin to skin contact, it regulates your baby's temperature, the baby's heart rate, and the baby's blood sugar. Just from being skin to skin with you, it's going to encourage bonding and early breastfeeding. A lot of babies, they get on that mama's chest, and then after a second, they're like, wait, I know where I'm at. And then they see that boob, and they're like, I'm hungry, let me get that. So you want to do skin to skin contact. Mind you, your baby comes out nourished, so don't stress if your baby doesn't eat right away, but it does encourage early breastfeeding. It helps colonize baby's skin with your healthy bacteria. It can be done immediately after birth, even after a C-section in most cases though. So they might be able to put your baby on the chest. It really just depends on the hospital and the provider, but you want to get that skin to skin contact in early, all right? And you want to do that for an hour, at least that 1 hour after. You really want to suck up all that love, all that oxytocin, and dads can do skin to skin too. It's highly encouraged after mama does her first round that dad hops in there and gets some of that action, because it's good oxytocin production for dad and baby, and they begin their bond as well. And it's really, 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 really sweet. Now, that first feeding is going to be important as well. So most babies have a strong instinct to nurse in the first hour. This is very normal. It usually happens. Breastfeeding can be a bit challenging, but baby does have that instinct, and your baby does come out nourished already, so you don't have to stress about that. But they will tend to want to feed because they're just used to like having it on demand when they're in your body. So, and it's so funny because you might have noticed that like your areola and nipple area have gotten darker throughout your pregnancy. That is actually like a biological thing going on that is mind-blowing, but they basically get darker so that, obviously like your hormones create additional melanin, so that pigmentation is really popping through. But from a biological standpoint, that's so that when baby gets out, it can see like where I should be targeting, and then your scent is being exuded, it's like secreted from your areola and nipples, so baby can smell you. It smells its food basically, and it can see it because their vision is not like fully developed when they come out. So that's why your breasts are much darker, and it contributes to that instinct of theirs to feed within that first hour. Feeding on demand is encouraged, so you want to watch for cues just like sucking or bringing their hands to their mouth. It's the cutest thing. Breastfeeding can be very uncomfortable in the beginning, but long term it's not supposed to hurt. So a lot of times we see babies, they put the nipple like in their mouth, like right here, and we want that nipple to be at the roof of their mouth. Okay, so if it's shallow, that's not gonna work. You want to feel like you're putting your entire like breast in their mouth, and there should be consultants at the hospital that you're at who can help you with breastfeeding. Take advantage of that service so that you can get the hang of it. It will still be uncomfortable, but it should not hurt long term. It just takes a while for the breast to kind of toughen up and get used to that constant sucking, and for baby to get used to it as well. So please be patient and please be kind to yourself and to your baby. Formula fed babies should also feed early. So even if like breastfeeding isn't working out in the beginning, that's okay. They should still feed early, and skin to skin is just as beneficial for them because it's serving multiple purposes. You want to discuss your options about cord clamping with your doctor as well beforehand, because they're going to clamp the baby's umbilical cord once it's born. So you want to talk about how long you want that to pulsate, because it does have like extra iron reserves and things like that in that extra cord blood. And so we kind of want it to pulsate a little bit before they cut the cord. It's just like an extra boost for baby, and it doesn't hurt. You can do about a minute or until it stops pulsating. So just talk to your provider about, what their policies are on that, and they can work with you on that. And then we have the APGAR score. So when your baby's born, they do a bunch of tests. They like make sure that baby is all right. So they're going to do something called the APGAR test. Or the APGAR score. So they're going to do it the first minute of baby's life and then 5 minutes of baby's life. And what they're assessing is baby's color, heart rate, muscle tone, reflexes, and breathing. APGAR is an acronym. So that A stands for appearance. We're talking about skin color. Is the baby blue, pale, yellow, or normal? Then there's P for pulse. What's the baby's heart rate looking like? G is grimace. So like their reflex irritability and their responsive or non-responsiveness to stimulation. And we have A for activity, the muscle tone. So movement or no movement. We have R for respiration. So how is their breathing? And then they're going to interpret the total score. 7 to 10 is generally good. Baby is, in good health. 4 to 6 is fairly low. Baby may need some help with breathing or other functions. And then 0 to 3 is critically low, and immediate resuscitation is likely needed. Something important to note is that a slightly lower score at 1 minute is very common. They just went through like a really traumatic experience, especially after difficult births or C-sections. But that 5-minute score gives a better idea of how baby is adjusting outside of the womb. And doctors act quickly, and your baby adjusts pretty quickly. So don't stress. Your baby is going to be weighed, measured, and monitored for temperature and breathing. They're going to be offered a vitamin K shot and this ointment to put over their eyes. The ointment is really just to like protect their eyes from any infection that might have been passed through, or just like the adjustment to the environment. It's just a regular ointment that they put on just to protect the baby's eyes. And then vitamin K, you really want to talk about this with your provider and really do research on this. We do talk about it in more depth in my larger course. But vitamin K, that's a decision you have to make right there on the spot, because babies don't produce their own vitamin K just yet, like not enough. And so if there's a brain bleed, that vitamin K is there to support that, to like help with that. And there's like a time limit on vitamin K. So you have to decide right then and there, because it's going to protect them if they have like a brain bleed of some kind. So you want to talk to your provider about that in depth, because that is a decision you have to make right away. Again, it is not a vaccine. So don't freak out. Like, you don't have to make any decisions immediately about any type of vaccine. You have time. And then they're going to be like newborn screening. So they're going to take blood to like test the baby's blood and make sure that they're, safe on, and check for any like genetic things. And then they're going to also test the baby's hearing. The baby will be offered a hepatitis B vaccine. That's not something you have to do right now. You can wait and talk to their pediatrician about it, but you can also talk to the provider about it beforehand. You want to know about like the hospital's policy about rooming in and nursery care. Having the baby in the room with you is ideal because it just increases that bonding. And then you want to really talk to the consultant that they have in the hospital about breastfeeding, about what's normal and what's not normal, which we already covered some of those things. So you shouldn't be in a whole lot of pain. It might be, tender and uncomfortable, but it should kind of adjust shortly after. And again, we want that nipple at the roof of baby's mouth towards the back, not right at the front and shallow. That's going to hurt, and they're going to kind of clamp down a little bit. So you want to be cautious of that and keep trying. There are several different positions that you can try for breastfeeding. breastfeeding, it's a natural process, even if it doesn't come naturally to you. So again, be gentle with yourself. It's a learned skill for both you and the baby. And like any new skill, it takes time, patience, support, and knowledge. The early hours and days of breastfeeding kind of set the tone for your feeding journey, whether it lasts a few weeks or a few years. Many babies will begin like breast crawling during this like first hour. So like rooting, bobbing their head and like moving toward the breast using like their instinctual reflexes. It's really cute. A lot of times people are like, oh my God, my baby's holding their head up like they're so advanced. And it's like, no, your baby's hungry. And like, so whip that boob out. Allowing your baby to latch in this unhurried, uninterrupted environment really supports long-term breastfeeding success. So just keep that in mind. These first moments really do matter. In my full course, we walk through like recovery and breastfeeding and what to expect in your first weeks at home. So make sure you take the time out to check out that course and really dive into the parts that you really need. If take what works for you and what doesn't, but you're not finding anything more comprehensive than my Prep Push Parent, the ultimate birth course. So I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope that you found some clarity, some peace of mind, and that you feel more empowered, you feel more confident. I believe in you. I know you can do this. Birth is an incredible experience, and it's also what you make it. And you might face some challenges, but I want you to know that you can get through it. We talk heavily about postpartum. That is honestly the most important part of any of this. Getting that baby out, that's going to happen. But how we cope entering motherhood, having this brand new baby, how we deal with our partners, how we process everything, that's really, really important. How you process your birth, how you recover, how you deal with the hormone shifts, those things are crucial. They're very, very critical. And I want you to have the knowledge to take care of yourself and to help those around you take care of you. So make sure you get that. But yeah, I'm so glad that we spent this time together. I'm wishing you a happy, healthy baby, a wonderful and safe delivery. And I'm wishing you the absolute best, mama. I hope to see you in the community. Make sure you join and make sure you comment and make sure you interact. I cannot wait to hear all about your experiences and answer any questions that you might have. Until then, good luck, much love to you, and I'm wishing you the best.